time we're playing the Mordex versus Wrench Surrey instead of the Mordex versus Cody Travis Brawlhalla. 97 is an insane level to be at. But it's not the 100. Let's see if experience is going to overtake another opponent.
The 3-level differential.
3 levels at that point is literally like 30 games per level, by the way. So that's
that's wild. What's your highest level legend?
My highest level legend? Oh, I have Koji.
Yeah.
I have Koji at level 100, and then I have Hattori at 98. But I also have been playing since 2015, played both those characters on release.
Oh, I remember. I know you have. I remember. But I think my highest level was like level 42 on Koji too. Because Koji back on release was incredible.
Those are honest numbers. Like, I think towards the end of it does get hard. That's why I'm like confused, like how these guys are all this high level. I think I got level 100 Koji literally in the middle of like the Mountain Dew Game at Fuel Championships when we were playing that. I literally just like I played a game and then Ice Pingles in lobby. It's like, nice, you got 100. And I'm just like, oh.
I mean, after a while, you just don't even pay attention to the levels anymore.
I mean,
speaking of which, 3-level diff.
Crocky's paying attention to the levels, and he's got like 5 level 100s on all Spirit characters.
Good lord. Oh my, man, that's wild to me. But the 3-level diff did mean a little bit in the beginning. C was able to remove that first stock off of Gameplayer, but Gameplayer was able to convert it back relatively quickly. C has had that full stage control, and I've been really impressed about that. It's more of a matter of Gameplayer, again, just trying to find these setups, but with C just being in so deep with those hurt boxes, it's hard for Gameplayer to find those setups with the Scythe. He's relegated to the ledges of these stages, to the point where then C is just able to find those jump ups, bait out the recovery, and go for a punish again.
Now, I'm not able to pull out the head-to-head or the pro stats for C here just because his name is so unorthodox. You type in C and you just get the entire region. But
yeah,
it does look like he made it to this point with less games, so he was able to stay in the winners bracket longer than game player here was. So it is safe to say that he is the player that's going to come out here with the higher seed with the most experience.
I mean, it's showing right now. Gameplayer has been struggling a lot in these 50-50s to the point where, again, most of the gameplay, most of the major gameplay, the big changes in the setup have been off stage. And see, weapon starved right now, trying to find a way to bait out those attacks from Gameplayer, but even then, that doesn't work. He does get the sword, which is good, and Gameplayer is one healthy signature away from losing game number 1, maybe even make it a side air. So he's just waiting to see what the response will be. Gravity cancel and light, and there is a 2-0 stock victory for game number 1 for C.
Now we're gonna go into game 2 here. When you have numbers this high, seeing a legend swap is literally like insane and out of the question, right? Like if you put a level 100 level into Mordex, what do you even want to switch to? Like what do you believe your Mordex can't deal with, you know? That's 100 levels. So I think he's just gonna continue out here and play it out.
See, like, if I'm playing this tournament, I'm thinking, like, superficially, right? Like, okay, he's got the Gold Forge gauntlets. He must be going to a different gauntlet legend, right? And, like, I mean, actually, he has it on the Scythe as well. So he has a wide, in theory, range of pool of legends to work with here. You know, if you're feeling more comfortable on the Scythe, in theory, you go to someone like Artemis, I guess, to have that extra lance coverage against someone up close like C's Asuri, but it really just comes down to those comfort picks. But you're also right, it's a level 100 Mordex, and we're seeing it really come to full fruition here in game number 2. Demon, a much wider stage, does allow Gameplayer to have a bit more setup potential with that Scythe, and racks up a lot of damage against C.
Now, move forward onto the NSIG there, and like we were saying, I mean, like you just said, yeah, the Mordex experience is finally showing. I'm surprised that's not like connected. The Mordex experience is finally showing as he got a nice little string there at the start into the NSIG. It's going to add on a lot for him, and C does a good job of evening it out. So I did finally take a second to look and find out C is PR 45. Game Slayer, we know he's PR 271, but earlier we played Riot, who was PR 44. So this is around the same. Like, you know, people can be different ranks in the game, but their tournament rank, their PR, this is a round relatively the same as the other opponent he just took out.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to that thing that we were saying before we even started the South American block, that especially the lower bracket, a lot of these matchups are going to be pretty much 50-50s. Like, you can look at some North American or like Europe brackets and be like, okay, yeah, that player is going to win. You know, that's definitely in their favor. But with the PR levels being so close and just the gameplay going down to the wire, pretty much every set we've covered, there's no real telling who's going to come out on the victor here and who's going to be eliminated from the lower bracket.
It's so insane to see such an aggressive NSIG option off stage on that chase there. And it's also insane to see it not really get punished, not really like try to flip the edge guard back. They're both back to the stage fighting in neutral here, and the sword is going to get the better end of it as he eats up all his options with the pressure.
Yeah, game player really need to have that second stock last as long as humanly possible. C has been able to maintain that advantage, at least thus far in the later half of this game. But then again, game player's been able to get away with some free hits, at least right now. C, on the other hand, is going for these very overly aggressive play styles, racking up damage on that second stock just before they go down to their first, or I'm sorry, their last. And the more damage they can apply, the side sig potential, this could very well end in a very deep charged up sliding side sig, but no, it wasn't enough. But enough damage has already been applied that this could very well be a 2-0.
That
it will be.
Light, and that's up for the ground pound beautifully. I was not expecting that. Now we have kind of a relatively similar game to game one there. It looked even at the first stocks, and they kept it close into the second stocks, but after a certain point, it just looked like C had that aggression and it was able to stick onto that stock. And game player, we were just talking about it right now. What do you switch to?
Ooh.
It's going to be the Volkov. I didn't get to see the level on it. I don't know if someone can mention that, but it is level 25 at least, as we're seeing the black color scheme come out. But no skin, no drip attached to it, just Volkov. Just Volkov by himself, lonely.
Yeah, in the newest season, I've been playing a lot of Volkov in ranked, and his signatures are really interesting. I find that they're one of the hardest sigs in the game to contest or to bring out effectively, but good lord! Already C has yet to only now find one hit against them, and they've practically taken down game player's first stock. This axe, seemingly at first wasn't the right option, but now having the extra space potential, the hard-hittingness behind it, it's working a little bit more against C, but we have to wonder, is this really the response you want to have moving away from the gauntlets and keeping the scythe? We talked about how you have that wide range of legends to work with, but I don't know if Scythe Axe will be the answer.
Now, something I want to think about here is how C plays in general. He has that aggressive rushdown playstyle where he gets one hit, and you can see he's instantly dashing and chain dodging across the map to look for the next one. He's not just going to, like, back it up and give any room for you to breathe. And that's exactly how you want to play this out, right? Nice instinct there to close that stock off. But as I was saying, the Axe does a good job of either completely stuffing pressure, or you could just, like, not be ready for it, and the pressure is going to eat you alive. Like right here, we're seeing the unarmed. The Axe needs to be able to stuff this through. It needs to be able to find these punishes, or else it's going to get completely run down. If you're not able to find your spacing and continuously play that Stingray type Axe, where it's like you're continuously backing up and playing it like basically a spear, where your opponent just can't find a way into you, it's not going to work out, especially against someone this aggressive.
Yeah, and I would argue that having the gauntlets would have been a great counter against C's aggression, but the Scythe wasn't really finding a whole lot more for gameplay in the last two matches. And now, having two weapons, relying purely off of spacing, it makes me nervous, and we're kind of starting to see that already, where gameplayers struggling to keep up. He does remove that first stock off of C, but C has already built up so much buffer room with this second stock that there might not be any worries unless we see a crazy combo coming out from gameplayer.
Down light side air, again, is going to send game player far off the weapon throw, and the down sig is going to be what confirms that even if he was able to get his dodge off, he would have ended up on the other side of that signature. He would have had to save his recovery and maybe come from below. So, very hard situation to be put in, and C, once again, with a full stock lead, is playing it as aggressively as we expect from him. No breaks in between, just continuously running at his opponent. Even with the unarmed kid here, you can see him just going for light dashes back and forth, trying to bait out options with the movement. And he might have overheated there a little bit, going in too deep with that chase dodge. But all is well in his world. He's still moving around on the ground. And game player, what is going to be your answer to this aggression? What is going to be your answer to this movement? Because right now, the options you've shown are not working. C Overzealous
Oh,
with an Ensig is gonna get punished and give game player just a chance, just one route back into this game.
that might be a miracle play from game player there, taking advantage of the overaggression of C. And now C, I wouldn't be surprised if they try not to go off stage again. Demon's such a wide stage that, yeah, they're not even trying. They're just gonna wait at the ledge just to make sure to see. That site's so effective, but the double side sig is even more effective. C, beautiful run with the Azuri there, giving a Volkov more than a run for their money.
Very amazing stuff to close out that game there. C was, I mean, he was the better player throughout the entire set. Every single game was a convincing win. And that's
Oh
kind of
yeah.
like we talked about the 50-50s, but that's also the volatility of it against PR 44.